We don't like LA. I'm just going to be honest. We hate it.
The fake influencer events, everything about it.
Okay, there's some things I like, but there's a lot that just rub me the wrong way and just, it's not what I thought it was. That's the truth.
We're going to get into it today on Your Couple of Tea podcast episode 7 or 6.
Yes.
I should know this.
I'm Katie.
It's your boy Josh, and we're getting into it today.
Yeah. So the reason we decided to do this podcast is not to just totally bash on LA, but I feel like there's like this like unspoken thing about LA that most people have this dream, this fantasy that it's like this
it
like
looks like
dream place. All the celebrities are there. Like it's all the money,
I think people make it out to be like, if you want to be something and like you didn't go to school, like you have to go out to LA and like social media.
If you go to LA, you made it.
Or like, I want to start a podcast, but I don't live in LA. I feel like everybody makes it out to seem like you have to go there. I don't even know why.
And the reason I'm saying this is because I literally thought that. Like, I literally was like, my social media started growing. I was like, oh, this is my dream. Like, that's what every other YouTuber did. They
no, 100%.
grew, and then they left their small town. They moved to LA, and they're like, this life is they made it seem so amazing.
You know what's crazy?
What?
Is I don't think a lot of people get out of it though. Like you got in, you got out. A lot of people
stay there,
almost trapped. I feel like in the mindset that they have to stay there to do what they're doing.
And I think they don't even always love it. I think some people like it, but they don't love it.
And I actually have a story. So it's funny because you moved there before we even met, and then I also thought I had to go to LA for fighting before I met you, and visited LA before I met you.
That's crazy.
And so I have a little story about that, and you have your whole move there with like random people you just met, and like your story's kind of wild.
We were in LA at the same time.
We were, but we didn't know each other.
What if we somehow crossed paths
and crazy?
Didn't know?
We could have.
Do you ever wonder that?
Like the Strip, like the stars. What's that called?
The Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah, the Walk of Fame.
I lived right there. Like literally, that's where I lived.
Like outside your apartment, probably.
That's why who's that hot guy? I knew the guys in LA were way hotter. That's literally what I thought.
Is that the reason why you moved there?
No,
Catherine
that's
McKinley.
not. No, but I really thought that there was going to be some cute guys there. And not that there isn't. I'm not saying that there isn't.
Well, yeah.
I didn't meet anyone that I was like attracted to, but like there was some like, I'm not kidding.
Sure there's good looking people out there, obviously.
But I was only there under a year, and like I didn't really meet that many people. So like,
I feel like it's only right to give some backstory. Like, let's just dive into your moving to LA story. Why the hell you did it?
So I was growing on social media pretty fast, and every other big influencer they had whenever they started growing,
250,000 subscribers. No big deal.
NBD, you know. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, to me, that was like such a big deal. And I was so excited. And like, I was like, I need to take this next step. I need to move to LA. I went to an event called Playlist Live in Florida, Orlando. I met these two girls, Quincy and Candace.
Florida, Orlando. I like how you said that like backward. Orlando, Florida.
Florida, Orlando. Oh, I did.
It just threw me off. I'm sorry. Continue.
And I met Quincy and Candace. They were from Maryland. There's two sweet girls who had a YouTube channel together. Yep. And we all just kind of randomly met, became friends really quick, and decided to move to LA.
Because you went out to Maryland.
Oh gosh, Maryland, babe.
Maryland.
So that's where they're from. I visited them, and we had already talked about moving to LA before that though. But I was like, oh, like let's go out, let's have another trip and make sure. And like we had so much fun, and then we just honestly booked a random place that we had like done a little research, and we are like, oh, this place looks nice, and like this is where all the influencers stay, like we should go here, let's move here. Like other influencers said, this is where they move.
Influencer life is just, it's so unique to me.
And back then
especially back then, like I feel like it's definitely changed now, but like back then I feel like it's very unique and different.
And like you guys are got to remember that I moved to LA in the Vine era of when like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, Lele Pons, King Batch, Cameron Dallas, Taylor Kniff.
I feel like that was like
Callie,
the start of social media like becoming what it is now. Like, yes, I feel like back then that's when like no one was doing YouTube like or social media unless you were like really an influencer. Like,
and they all lived at 1600 Vine or the Camden, which is where I lived, and the Camden was right across the street. So all these influencers lived in this area.
So the influencers worked though, because it influenced you to move to LA where they were staying. It worked.
And so I ended up moving there with my friends, and we did have a lot of fun in LA. But then like after time and time went on, I started to just realize, I was like, I don't know if I like this place 100%, but I didn't fully realize until I went back home in the summer and visited Michigan. And I was like, that's it. I'm moving back. I miss Michigan.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of reasons why I didn't like LA. For one, I just thought it was going to be this like luxury, like tropical, like almost like what they make it seem like in the movies.
Pause, because this is your fault because you moved there without even going and visiting.
No, I know it's my fault. Like literally,
you didn't even visit a place that you were committed to move there before ever even going. That's what blows my mind. And that's how stoked you were about it. That's how promising I was. And, you thought it was. Mm-hmm,
and I was bought in.
You were bought into the dream that they were selling you.
Nothing anyone could say was going to change my mind. I literally was on the flight, and this lady was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm actually moving to Hollywood. I'm so excited." She's like, "Have you ever been there?" And I was like, "Oh no, this is my first." She's like, "You've never been there?" And she's like, "Hollywood is disgusting." And I was like, "No, it's so nice. Like the pictures look so nice." "What do you mean? What do you mean it's disgusting?" Like what? I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "It's so gross." Like, and I was like, "Oh no, like I hope it's really not."
What a bad vibe to start off your like trip to your new home.
But she wasn't breaking my energy. I roll up, I'm driving in the Uber.
You were vibing.
I'm vibing, and then I was like, "Oh, this area looks a little different."
Also, your first time like moving away from your parents, so like that's super exciting.
You know what?
Regardless,
exciting, but so sad.
Yeah,
scary. When you're 18 years old and you get dropped. My parents came with me. They moved me out to LA. Of course. So they both came, and we got the apartment, and like everything was so happy. And then the day they left, I didn't even think I'd be sad because like, I mean, I live away from them now, and I'm never like sitting at home crying, missing them. Like I miss like their company and like, but I talk to them all the time. But like when you're 18 years old, all alone, these are two new friends that I have.
18's young.
I don't have any family.
And you have nobody in that state with you. Holy crap.
My sister Biz was there, but we were kind of fighting. We weren't talking at the time.
Right. And I remember that story.
And so I basically felt so alone. So when they left, I thought I was like, fine. I say goodbye. I go up to my room.
And then it hits you probably.
Out of nowhere, I just start bawling my eyes out. Really? I'm so sad. And I'm like, oh no, what did I do? I was like, did I make a mistake? Like, I don't like this feeling. But then I felt next day, it totally was just like that. It went away thing.
And it was it.
Yeah, and it was it. And like, I did have a lot of fun with my friends, Quincy and Candace, because they were so genuine and sweet. But we did come across so many like influencers who were like social climbing and like all that stuff. Of course,
we're gonna get into all that stuff, but just to clarify, like we're giving you guys our story on LA. Like it's different for everybody. Like I'm sure people love LA, and it's like we have positive things about LA, 100%.
And if we like move to LA, like let's say we're not going to.
I think I could live there. I think I could find
the
good in
anyone
anything.
Could. Like, I could find the good in anything, of course. And like so many people do. It's all like situational. Like where I was, I didn't have a car at the time. So I felt very trapped. I had to Uber everywhere, and I didn't have money. I didn't have enough money to Uber because I was paying all this money in rent. And I like literally had no clothes at the time. I was so cheap with my money. I didn't have a lot of money. So like, it's not like I had opportunity to go see all these places or do all these things. I felt very trapped is the problem. And it just wasn't 100% what I thought I was getting myself into.
It's funny because the last podcast, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, make sure you guys do. But we were hyping up LA because that's where we got engaged and we were talking all about our proposal and the engagement. And now on this one, we're talking about why we hate it. So
why we hate parts of it.
What a coincidence.
But honestly, even when we went for your fight, I remember we were in downtown LA and I was like, I just don't like the smell here. Like, it's like, I don't know. And not even like, it's just like,
well, even our friends that came for the fight, that was their first time in LA, and they were like, it's just, they didn't really say like bad things about it, but they're like, it's not really what I expected. They're like, oh, like where's the beach? And I'm like, the beach is not that close. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be trafficy. It's gonna be like an hour and a half drive at least.
Oh, that's one thing. I was like, oh, I'm moving like 15 minutes from the beach. Little did I know it was an hour drive every day if you wanted to go.
But technically, without traffic, would it be 15 minutes? Because that would blow my mind. Because
like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be so sick. I feel like if you could take away the traffic and like all of that from LA, it would instantly become like 50% better, in my opinion.
The thing I just didn't really like is like the traffic was so stressful, and there was like a lot of people, and like, but the main thing that I didn't really care too much about that at the time.
Right.
But what I really cared and why I really didn't like it, my main reason for it was I just felt like I was very different there. Like, not me, but I felt like the people, the energy, like I would get in a hotel, or not hotel. My place looked like a hotel. I was in my apartment complex. I'd get in the elevator and people would be like, what do you do for a living? Who do you know? Like, they'd look you up and down, not say a word. Like, just the energy from people was so different.
It's like, for me, I think what happens is like so many people move out there trying to either like grow on social media or become an actor or a singer or some kind of artist, that like they're literally like just so hungry for that success, and they're trying to meet people where they can, it's called social climbing, like where they can grow and like basically use you as a stepping stool. Like, as I feel like that sounds pretty messed up, but I feel like a lot of the times that's what it feels like when you're out there. And because we both experienced that as well.
It feels like your value comes from your fame, or like how well known.
It's almost like, forget who you are. Oh my God, you have 3 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so cool. Like, we'll collab and then we'll go our separate ways.
Oh, but you have 3,000? Ew.
You never knew a thing about the person. Or it seems very ingenuine, but like also,
I was in the heart of like social media climbers, like where I was living. So it's not just LA. It's also like where I was at, like where, I don't know. It just felt very like everyone asked, like it almost felt like your value came from just your following list. And I didn't like that. I was like, I don't know. It wasn't like me. It wasn't something I was into.
And that's what's crazy to me, because I feel like those conversations that like you had in the elevator could be so different. Like if someone asked you like what you did for a living and you just said like something so random, like, oh, I work at the barista down the street, and they'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like not care to get to know you. But if you're like, oh yeah, I have 10 million like subscribers on YouTube and I have this and that, they're like, oh my gosh, like
what's your name?
What's your Instagram? Like, what's your phone number? Like,
what's crazy?
Because that happened to us in LA. We were walking down the street, remember? And we were filming, a TikTok on the phone. And some like 3 guys walk up to us and they're like,
he was a rapper,
like,
singer.
You guys have TikTok? Like, oh yeah, like we just do it for fun. Like we knew what was happening already. We were trying to avoid the question. And he's like, oh yeah, how many followers do you have? I was like, oh, like, yeah,
a good amount. They're like, but how many?
How many? Like, okay, we have 4 million. Really? Oh, you want to promote like my CD? But
just here, promote my CD on it. Like, do this, and I'm like, bro, like,
that's not how this works, bro. Like, I don't even know you. You didn't even introduce your name. Like, that's what I hate, that feeling.
It's almost the feeling of being used a little bit is what I don't like.
Yeah, like no one likes to feel used, which is crazy though, because that conversation I had said about the elevator, it's like that happens in like not just social media too. Like I think people value people that are doing like successful or have a good job
or can get a good connection, or I don't know,
which isn't bad, because like it's like you want to surround yourself with people that are doing good things or doing the things that you want to be doing, but at the same time it's like
that can't be their only intention.
That can't be the only intention.
Like when I'm not even being like dramatic when I say like people would be on the phone and they'd be like, oh yeah, no, I know Kylie was so like crazy this morning, but we're gonna get the shot done for her. Kylie Jenner, yeah. No, okay, big shoot tomorrow. And I'm like, you are not name dropping in an elevator with random people. Like it happened multiple times. Like people would be like, oh yeah, I'm shooting for Tyga today. I'm a busy schedule. I'm like, why?
Honestly, they could have been though.
No, you never know. Like they could have been, but it was you could tell it was like so like you didn't have to say his name, like clearly like, and then they like look over, see if you'd pay attention. We literally, okay, so this is a good story. I had this girl, Haley, actually came out and she stayed with me, a girl from Michigan. And she came to LA for the first time ever. And we were hanging out at the pool and we met these like people at the pool.
Totally.
And she was like, oh my gosh, like they invited us to go like to hang out with them. He was saying that he shot a music video for like Katy Perry, and like he directs all the Kardashians and stuff.
Into that?
And I was like, oh no, don't believe him. I was like, everyone will say that. She's like, no, Katie, come on, like he literally said it. And I was like, Haley, look. Everyone's going to tell you that. I was like, everyone. I was like, all he's doing. I was like, if someone starts name dropping, that's when they lose their credibility, because it's like most people who are successful or who do work on these big people, they don't really have to say that they do, because most people already know.
Or they don't
care. They don't want that attention, or that.
People only care about them because they've shot this big project. Like,
but these people,
you're only cool now because like you shot Kim Kardashian or something. Yeah. Like that's what's weird to me.
And I was like, I feel like it had nothing to do with our conversation. He should have been telling you that. Like it just had nothing to do. That's like just like so name dropping
to say like on a first like interaction with.
He's
somebody.
Like, yeah, me and Justin Bieber are tight.
Yeah, like we just shot a music video for Justin Bieber. Bro.
And then like I go look at his social media and stuff, and I'm like, there's no way. Like there's just like chance. I'm just like, why? Like why do people lie about things to? I don't know. But it happened all the time, and that's why I knew certain people. Certain people could be telling the truth, but a lot of people were lying, and I'm just like, that was the difference for me of LA was like all these influencers, and okay, let's talk about influencer parties.
Oh my gosh. Well, did you go to any influencer parties before me or no?
I went to a couple event parties.
Okay,
like not events. Influencers like houses where they threw house parties, but like event influencer parties.
Okay,
which are so weird.
Yeah, I guess we can just jump into that. I don't even know, like, because the idea of them is so influencer events or whatever you want to call them is usually like a brand puts it on.
Yeah.
Or
like that Boohoo party.
Yeah. Or like.
Or I don't even know if that was a company.
I don't think it was Boo.
It was some company we just watched on Instagram. They had like a party and it was an influencer party. And everyone was on their phone, like recording a story, but it just like in the video, and that could totally be wrong, it looked like no one was having fun. Like everyone was kind of like just like panning it.
Well, I feel like they do the craziest, most outrageous shit. And the idea of them sounds awesome. It's like, okay, always. Like Justin Bieber's performing for a crowd of like 50 people. It's going to be so insane. Like there's free alcohol. There's free like hors d'oeuvres. They're going to buy dinner or whatever. It's like, but like.
I think the reason it's awkward is because you don't know.
Because none of the conversations are like genuine. I mean, technically it's like a business meeting.
Yeah.
But like imagine going to a party where like no one knows anybody. But like it's cool to meet people there and you can make really good connections. So that's a plus of it. But
the idea is cooler in your head, and then you're like, we'll meet all these people, and then you go there and you really don't end up talking to anyone, or you try to, and like
it's the same conversation every time. So like
it never goes anywhere.
Yeah, like they're just hyping up like their social media, or like they start name dropping. It's like everyone's name dropping every time. That's how the conversation always goes.
Yeah. So
or like I got this connection, or you want to talk to my manager.
Oh, my manager will give you way better brand deals, or oh my this will do this for you. Be like, oh, you're starting a podcast. I got the perfect plug for you, which is like good, but like a lot of times it's just they don't go anywhere, or they're just different.
Yeah, I mean it's called connections, and people do that in business all the time. Like I think it's good, but at the same time, it's literally like always the same conversation. Like always the same conversation. It's so
you know what's something I noticed, but I don't know if, and remind you guys, this are like our experiences, like, and nothing we say is like not true, but it's like it's not like other people can have different experiences and love LA, because there is great things about it. Like my sister lives there, she loves it. Like there's a lot of people who love it, and like it's all situational. But like when I moved out there, I felt like I didn't either have any friends at the time that loved to do anything active, or there wasn't any like space to do anything like active. Like there wasn't really many tennis courts. There wasn't like many people who want to play beach volleyball, but I also wasn't near the beach. It was kind of my situation though, but I felt like
I feel like if you lived in Huntington or something, like there's people out there doing that.
But I felt like the vibe was like, this is the LA vibe of the influencer thing, was like wake up really late, go get breakfast because we're hungover.
You live the lifestyle. Like I want to know the lifestyle. Like
I didn't totally live the lifestyle, but I knew how people lived the lifestyle. It was like I was when I lived in LA, it was like literally wake up, film, go to the gym, and then edit a video when I come home, and then hang out with Quincy and Candace. That was my like lifestyle.
Which sounds fun.
Which was really fun. But the difference of the LA lifestyle is you go to a party. You don't go to a party till like 2 a.m, and you stay up really late partying, and then you end up at home at like 4 a.m, go to bed, and then you don't wake up till like 1. You Postmate, because that was like the new thing. You Postmate food. You don't even leave your house, and then you get ready for the next party.
Well, Postmates in LA makes sense, because to go get food is such a process. It's like an hour process. Yeah. Because if you're going like 2 minutes down the street, because you got to park.
And so
that takes so long parking out there.
Yeah. It was just the party lifestyle, and I wasn't in that lifestyle. So like it didn't really make sense. And we were screwed over by a lot of people. We had some people like just totally screw us over and be like, oh, like come here, do this for us, and we do things for them, and then they'd be like, okay, like we're all gonna go to this party after, I'll send you the address, and then they'd just like be like, let's all Uber together. They're like, no, we'll Uber separate, we'll send you the address. Never sends us the address of the party. Just like, I don't know, some like kind of like mean girl type stuff. And I was like, I don't like this. Like I don't know. Mm-hmm. It was just my experience with it. But like I think if we moved in LA now, I think it'd be different.
Yeah, 100%. I think we always make the most out of any situation. And like you said, like you had fun while you were there, but like now looking back on it, and then like For me, when I was fighting professionally, and I don't know why, like all the cool fight gyms are out there in Cali, not necessarily like LA.
Yeah.
But some are in LA. And I remember when I first went there, like I had these crazy expectations, like the beaches are amazing, like everything was crazy, and I had a really good time, but the traffic was insane. The amount of people was crazy to me. And then we went to LA, and I was just shocked that it was nothing like what I expected it to be. And but what's more so crazy to me is that in my head, to make it as a fighter, it's like, oh, you got to move to Cali and be training out there. And I don't know why. I feel like there's so many things where that's the mindset. Like you have to go there to be successful, especially what we do.
So now. When I moved there, I went to the beach and I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's going to be like Florida, like tropical. I didn't know like it was like more dry heat.
Yeah.
And like
I thought definitely not as hot as Florida.
I thought the ocean water was going to be like Florida water, and I thought like it was going to be humid and just like tropical vibes. And that's not what the beaches are. And I definitely like, some people love the Cali beaches over Florida beaches. I love the Florida beaches, and that's just like my vibe more. And that's what I thought I was getting a little bit. I was so excited. And then I was like, oh, the beaches. I was like, the waters. I went surfing and I was like, this water is so scary. Like, I was like, I'm literally terrified of this water.
What were you shredding though?
Oh yeah. I was shredding up the Nar, you know?
Shredding the Nar, dude.
No, I would go surfing for a little bit. And now it actually made me like Cali a lot. Like I was actually like, oh my gosh, like I need to move near the beach. I loved Hermosa Beach. It was so fun. I felt like more like myself. I made this friend, his name was Octavio. We would go surfing and I felt so happy because I felt like I was like getting to do active stuff again. And I felt more like myself. But then I was planning on moving to Hermosa Beach, but then I went back. That would be
more your vibe for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like LA is like super congested.
Yeah. And it's still busy there and it's still part of like LA, I think, but it's like a little bit on the outside. Yeah. And I went back to Michigan to go visit. And I just like was like, oh my gosh, I miss this. I miss getting in a car and just driving in an open road. I miss going to Target and just pulling up in the parking lot, not having to pay for parking, not having to validate tickets or not having to get an Uber. Like I was just like, it was little things I missed. And I miss seeing my nieces and everyone. I was like, honestly, it made me appreciate Michigan so much more because before that I hated Michigan. And I think you even when we started dating, you hated Michigan. You're like, oh, Michigan sucks. And I was like, trust me, like when you move out, you'll have different appreciation for it.
Yeah, and I love Michigan now. And I always liked Michigan. It's more so the weather I don't like about Michigan. But like, you know, it's always going to be home to me. It's like
always,
where I grew up, like my childhood friends, like all my friends I still have out in Michigan.
Our family still out there.
Our friends we have. So that's always going to have a place in my heart. But 100%. I mean, Arizona's home now for us. And I don't have any regrets on moving. I wish I could move them all here because I want everybody to be here and experience like the beautiful weather all the time. But
so sometimes I love that Michigan is our like hometown.
Every place has its ups and downs. But I'm like, here it gets hella hot in the summer. It's like 115 degrees.
I prefer that. But
I would take that any day over freaking rain and cold and freezing cold snow. It's not my vibe. But back on LA vibes. What was I gonna say? You didn't even talk about the worst part about LA.
What part?
It's so damn expensive.
It was so.
I didn't even talk about
that. Was another thing.
The worst part about it.
Blowing money on rent. I think our rent at the time, and this was a lot of money back then. It was like $5,000 a month for a 2-bedroom.
Still a lot of money now, but it's probably way more expensive.
But now it would probably be like $7,000-8,000 at least.
Jesus. For an apartment.
Yeah.
What?
So I paid $2,500 because I had my own room, and then we split in half, even though there's 3 of us because they shared a room.
Nice.
And so I paid for my room, and it was just a lot of money, and I was kind of like stressed. I was like, when I came back to Michigan, I was like, why do I really need to be in LA? Like, it's not really helping my business. And actually, when I moved back to Michigan, I feel like my YouTube started growing even more again.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. I was going to say, did you get like the results you were looking for, like moving out to LA, like collabing with people and, I don't know, just like the social media, the content, like being around influencers. Did you really gain anything from that?
I gained experience. Like I'm like, we both are the same type of person. It's like no regrets. And like, I'm glad I moved out to LA because it made me like Michigan so much more. It made me have such a big appreciation for like my family, my friends, and just like my lifestyle in Michigan. And I did do a lot of collabs while I was there. And I did things that I think I gained from it. And I learned that like, you don't have to be anywhere to make it successful. It's like wherever. Totally. I was like, I don't need to be there. I was like, YouTube, I can take wherever. And that's really what I learned even like when we moved to Arizona and when we were like, let's move here. Like we don't need to be in Michigan. I don't need to be in LA. Yeah. I don't need to be in Arizona. You know, we can be anywhere.
Yeah. But did you see any results from like collabing with people, or was that really not like...
It didn't really do what I thought it would do. No.
Yeah. No. 'Cause I feel like we've noticed that too, because we've done collabs with like multiple people and...
Yeah.
And
when
I
videos
feel like,
do good.
Yeah, of course. And I feel like that was kind of like the old style of like growing on social media is like, oh, you have to collab. I think if you're starting like from scratch and stuff, collabing would help, of course. But yeah, I was just curious because I know like that's what everyone thinks is like, oh, if I could just go to LA and like everything would be so much better. It's like, it's not like that.
I think like collabs, I don't know. Back then, people used to collab all the time, but it just didn't work. Like, I never grew from a collab. Like, I would notice I'd do a collab and it would grow a little bit, not too much. But then if a video went viral, it was like I was growing so fast. Like, that's when I knew I would grow. And so I was like, the collabs really don't do much for me. And I don't really love filming collabs because when you'd film a collab, you'd have to film your video, which and sometimes they were fun. Sometimes the clips were fun. But sometimes it was like you'd film your video and then you'd have to film their video. And sometimes people would do different efforts on their channel. Like it would be like an all day or 2 day thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why are we filming all day? Like I have stuff to do. Like I can't collab all day, but it's like they helped you. Now you had to help them. But it was like sometimes they'd take longer to film.
Your video took an hour.
Yeah, it was like
2 days.
And I was like, I don't have time for this. So like sometimes collabs did suck too.
Yeah, that would be kind of intense.
But they were fun too to like hang out with our friends. Like I had so much fun collabing with Quincy and Candace all the time.
Oh, of course. I mean, they were like your best friends at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. So I see a lot of people like influencers in LA. Like, am I wrong to say like the influencers like kind of flock together and like all become friends like when they move out there?
By nature. It's like,
yeah, it's like,
I don't know, they're at the same events. You see influencers time after time. I'll see the same people, same events. Like it's really a small town.
That's what I was gonna say, because like I feel like everyone goes to the same place, the same bars, the same events, the same
everything.
Social gatherings. It's like that is honestly the one good thing about LA. If like that's part of your business and meeting people is something you need to do, it's like definitely you can meet people in your industry if it's like acting or social media.
I think if we were in LA, let's say like right now, let's say we were like living in an apartment here and we were like, let's live in an apartment in LA, me and you. I think as a couple, we would have a lot of fun because we would make other friends. I think we'd have a car. We'd like have different experience than when I went through LA. I don't think LA's all terrible. Yeah. I think it's just where I was at, like my age, not having a car, that made it really hard. But I think if like me and you went, I think like we're so outgoing, like we'd make friends. Maybe not all genuine friends, but I know that there's a lot of genuine people in LA too.
Oh no, 100%. I just think a lot of sometimes when I see the friendships, I'm like, wow, like it just makes sense that they're friends. Like you see like so and so with like 2 million followers, like also friends with so and so that has like 2 million followers, but like they're not hanging out with the person. It's almost like their followers have to like almost match, which is that's so weird to me. Like that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Like or you'll see like said person with like a bunch of million followers and like all these smaller people under them. But little do you know they all have signed contracts that like this person's taking percentages of their income, but they're all best friends, but they're really not best friends at all. Like,
but that's like
that's the weirdest part about LA to me. But
I really feel like we're definitely, I mean, obviously you guys know we're not like that because our old friends that used to do YouTube, or they still do YouTube, but we literally started filming with them when they had 0 subscribers.
Who cares?
We would never care about like, I don't know, like, if it's a genuine friendship, then I would love to film with someone, you know, like it's never like, oh, until you get this many followers, like, don't look at me, you know, but like sometimes it can be like that.
We film with so many people that don't even do like social media at all. Like actually pretty much everybody we film with doesn't do social media.
That's the thing I love about like living in Arizona or living in Michigan or somewhere where it's not like paparazzi, social media 24/7 is like when we're done with filming and we're done being on social media and we want to check out, I feel like sometimes in LA you just can't check out.
Well, because everybody is in the same industry.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, want to go to dinner, and then you're with another influencer. I just feel like sometimes it's nice to have a separation between like friends that are influencers and friends that have nothing to do with it. And just, I don't know. Sometimes it's like if I would hang around influencers and they'd be like, this brand deal only give me $10,000. Can you believe that? And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what are you complaining about right now?
That's like a lot of money.
Like, what are you? But then, like, if you hang out with like your other friends too, and they're like, oh, like this happened. I don't know. I just feel like it's a different, like they are more realistic. And like sometimes you'll hear influencers complain about things that are like, you're like, is that really like a first world problem? Like,
the only thing I will never understand is people complaining about paparazzi.
Oh my gosh.
But they literally live in like the small area where paparazzi is. Like I'll see people like, obviously these are like top A-list celebrities like complaining about paparazzi. I'm like, bro, like they also complain about living in LA. I'm like, why don't you move back to where you came from? Like move back to your hometown, and I guarantee there's no paparazzi. There's no paparazzi in Michigan. If we went to Michigan, there's no paparazzi
but
there.
that's situational because there's some people that grew up in LA and that's home to them. Like, think the Kardashians, if they complain about paparazzi, it's like kind of like, well, they honestly, I don't even know if they'd really escape it. Or like certain people, I just don't know. Definitely. But it is way worse in LA. But like I did watch, and this isn't hate because I think she's a really sweet girl. And I just watched part of like the D'Amelio show, or Charlie and Dixie's. And it seemed like they were kind of like, just like, oh, I don't like this lifestyle. And I understand why they're like complaining about it. But like, to me, I'm like, well, it's, if you went back home and you still could do a lot of the things. But I see where they're at because it's like.
But what's sad to me with that like statement, it's like, obviously people say, if you're being filmed, like people say stuff they don't mean all the time. But like, I feel like I've heard that come from her like multiple times. It's like, you don't have to do anything. Like, no. That's what something I've realized, like growing older in age, well, not older, but like getting older is like, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. Like, just go do it. Like if I don't want to film a podcast anymore, I just push this mic away and walk away. Like I don't have to do this. Like I want to do it. And
especially in her situation, like with everything going on. But I do understand like she's young and like she probably wants all these opportunities, but doesn't want the paparazzi. But sometimes it's like you have to be careful with how much you'll talk about it. I'm not even saying that she talked about it too much, but like certain people, it's like we can't come on here and be like, oh, it's so annoying when people come up to us in the middle of our dinner and say, oh, I love JD vlogs. Like imagine how ridiculous that would be. It's like influencers getting mad that fans would come up to them.
Yeah, like and then that's like part of your
we
job.
Put out stuff on social media. Yeah. We fully accept that people will come up to it, but we love it. But like some people don't like the attention because they're more introverted people, but they post YouTube videos. But I'm like, if you're posting YouTube videos, you have to accept that that's your reality.
Yeah, it just comes with like the nature of the business,
you know. But I will say that some people think that like the nature of the business is like we owe it to explain everything that goes on in our life, and I'm like, I don't think we ever have to owe anything.
No, that's another thing. Just what I was saying was like, we can talk about whatever we want. Like we don't answer to anybody. Yeah. Like any comments or anything. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we know we can talk about whatever we want. We can answer whatever we want. We can talk about any questions or anything, you know? Yeah. So I don't ever feel like we owe anybody anything, but it's just something we love to do. And especially even starting this podcast has just been fun for us. Like we don't really care. Like we're not making money from the podcast. It's just
it's just fun to sit down and talk. But we do have to be like, I feel like we have to be careful like with what we say or how we say it. I know even
filming this podcast, like we were talking about it and I was like, it definitely could be taken the wrong way. Like,
yeah, like I wouldn't want to be like, ew, I hate LA, and then be like, because it's not that clean. Like it's kind of gross to be like, she's so stuck up. Like, oh, she like, you know, and that's not what I'm saying. Like I just feel like sometimes things can get misconstrued, especially with social media.
We've been walking down like Hollywood Boulevard or whatever it's called, and like there's human poop on the ground and pee like everywhere. Like
or there's literally the your shoes. It's like a guy walking around like naked, swinging things around. You know, like wild stuff. Like or like someone will like almost peed on me and my friend. Like the wild stuff that's like not normal from where we grew up in most places. Yep. In America. And I do know we are so blessed and so lucky to be able to live and grow up in places that we did. And like, 100%. You know, and I always, my heart goes out to like all the homeless people in LA too, because like, you never know what they went through. And like, it is sad because it's like, as being like when I lived there,
you don't want to see that.
I was scared because I knew that a lot of them were on drugs and like it was just a scary situation being like a single girl in LA, and like some of them can harm people, some of them are harmless, but like it's just sad to see one for them. Your heart breaks for them, and it's just like a scary situation too. It's just sad.
I mean, no one wants to. You want to see people be great. And yeah, that is definitely a very sad situation. So you had a story to tell. I forget.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of crazy people,
like
in LA
or something.
Yes. So,
oh god,
I was living in the Camden at the time, and I think Candace was actually in the apartment, my roommate and friend, and she calls me and she's like, apparently there's a shooting in the apartment. I think she was in it. And so I'm outside. I just went to CVS. It was downstairs, like literally right next to the apartment building. They board everything up. There's cop cars
in
everywhere.
Your apartment, like where you're
in my apartment complex.
Okay.
Not in my
no, that's what I meant. Complex. Like the complex.
There's literally 6 helicopters, like 50 cop cars surrounding the building. They're taping it off. They're saying there's an active shooter in there. They're boarding everything up, and everyone, like some people could get out and some people had to stay. And
you were out of there, right?
And I knew who it was. We knew the guy in our apartment complex.
It actually happened. There was a shooter?
No. So it ended up being, he had a fake gun and he was just literally crazy. He must have been on drugs or something. But he would walk around the apartment complex, make conversation. He was like kind of a scary psycho guy. And like he was just weird. Like something was very, honestly, kind of reminded me of like the Joker. Like not even kidding. Like that, like, you know, that energy, like goofy, like it was so scary. And they said that like this was going on, but they weren't sure if it was like a fake gun or like threats and stuff. And so I was like, well, where do I go? And they're like, you can't be here. I didn't know anyone in LA. That was my apartment. It was like 1 a.m. at this time.
Where were you going to go?
I just stood outside and waited for hours and hours. I waited like all night.
By yourself?
By myself. And there was a whole bunch of people like surrounded, but like I didn't know anyone. And I was stuck. I had nowhere to go. Literally nowhere to go.
No way.
And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is so... I really wasn't too scared because I thought... At the time, I think I was like, I don't think he actually really has a gun. Like, I just think, like, he's just crazy. And it seemed to have it
under control, too, so...
And they did. And it never was. Like, no one got shot or anything. But they boarded everything up. And it was just this crazy, like, almost looked like a crime scene. And, like... I just remember thinking, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what is going on?
Is there any tea you have from, like, the year you lived in LA that, like, some crazy shit you've seen, like, or, like, something you didn't expect would happen, like...
I'm trying to think.
Like, party, elevator situation, like, anything.
Oh, there was a lot of elevator situations with people just, like, did I say this? Like, people name dropping on the phone.
Yeah, I think like, you talked about that.
Like, all that. Like, they would just name drop and people cared so much. I'm trying to think of, like, parties or things.
Like we won't have to say the name, but I know of one specifically. Actually, I think we might have talked about it on a podcast how like you would go in the elevator and like this social media guy was in the elevator and he'd always have different strippers with him.
Yes, like, yes.
Every single night. Like
we talked about this. He would have like different strippers, and it was like weird because I was like, oh my god, I grew up like watching all his pranks. I thought he was really cool, and then like I'm watching him like bring all these like girls up, and then I remember Cameron Dallas was like really big at the time, and he lived in my apartment complex, and like he was always in the elevator, and like just different people. I was like, this is so weird to see them like in person, and like it just was weird. I feel like a lot of people weren't really that friendly or like that nice. So like I felt like I was just in such a like I'm gonna grind on social media. I went to the gym. I'd go to the gym twice a day. Every day I ran 5 miles. That's crazy.
5 miles.
I didn't have anything else to do.
You were just out of boredom.
Honestly, the gym was the most exciting part for me because I lived in Hollywood. It was an Equinox. It was a very expensive gym, but I got a discount because my apartment was right above it. Right. So I literally would take an elevator and go right into the gym, and it was so nice.
That's pretty dope.
And I spent so much time there, but I would see all these different celebrities at the gym, and it was like really cool for me because I would like small town in Michigan, like you never see celebrities, and I'd just be on the treadmill, see like different people walk by. I'm like, holy shit, that's blah, blah, blah. Or holy shit, that I was like, oh my gosh.
That's like, just casual. I mean, you're like in the
It was almost like people watching while I ran. It was entertaining. And I liked that part. So that was fun.
Did you ever go to like any red carpet events or anything like on the...
Yeah.
What's the strip called again? I always forget. The Hollywood Star thingy.
Not there, but I went to one with like Gal Gadot. She's the girl from...
Superman?
Superwoman.
Superwoman.
Is it Superwoman? Is that Superwoman? Wonder Woman.
I was gonna say it's definitely not Superman.
And she was okay. She must have been busy. She wasn't like super friendly, but I don't think it was like a rude situation. I just think she was like
she probably had a lot
in the moment. And I took a picture with her, so that was cool. And it was just cool to get to go to different like premiere events. It was just way different than anything I was used to. So it was a really cool experience. Though.
Yeah. That's one of those influencer events situations or what?
No, it was more so a movie premiere. So it was just a couple influencers and mostly people for the movie.
Gotcha.
Which seeing a movie for the first time before it's out was pretty cool too.
All right, we got to take away some positives out of today's podcast, which honestly, it's not like we're really talking that negative. We're just talking about our experience, but the title might throw you off a little bit. But okay, what's like the best parts of LA? In your opinion?
I love this is in LA, but I was like, I love like Well, I like Malibu. I like the beach parts. Like I love Malibu, so pretty. I think Huntington Beach is so cool. I love Newport. I love Hermosa Beach. I like that beachy vibe there. And then in LA, I'm trying to think. I think the mountains are really pretty. Like it's really cool to drive up in the mountains. It's so different. So I think the driving.
For me, I would say the weather is
the weather's
nice
really
there.
nice.
Like it's always nice, always sunny. Doesn't get too cold there.
I know
there's like a June gloom or whatever
season, that
kind of sucks. But whatever. You have beaches close by, kind of close depending on the traffic. And then like there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff like walking distance, kind of where you were at. A lot of opportunity for sure, and people meeting new people.
Yeah, and I think cool. Like I don't know if you want to do a podcast, like there's probably like a podcast studio set up already there, or like there's a lot of different things at hand, really close, which is really nice. So I think that was really cool. The restaurants were really good. There's some good. We're like there's some good things. What are they, Josh?
You remind me of the good things one more time.
I don't know. Like even like we had so much fun. The night of our proposal, but that really didn't have anything to do with LA.
Yeah, I keep even forgetting that was in LA. That's not even like a fair argument right there.
Yeah. I like, you know what I did like? I like that people, I like the fashion there. I think people, it was really cool. Like there was very unique fashion. Is
definitely different.
That was one thing I loved moving from the Midwest is like the Midwest is like
people just trying to stay warm out in the
Midwest.
You're
just trying to stay warm.
You're just trying to stay warm.
It's not the same. And like you can wear something totally funky and weird and you totally get away with it in LA and people will be like, that's so sick. You wear a cool outfit in the Midwest and you might get a lot of looks.
Oh, you're going to get roasted a little bit. LA, I feel like you could wear absolutely anything. And it's not even like, I feel like the crazier the outfit is, the more stylish it would be considered.
You know what me and my friend were just talking about? We were like, why is it that like when people wear, and no, I don't know. It's like when people wear those like full Gucci outfits or like the tracksuits or like full name brand stuff. Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't look like normally like good style. Like I'm like, the good style is like,
it's just like that's such a weird like.
But that gives me like the influencer vibes, like almost like the Austin McBroom or like the Gucci flops with the Gucci like pants with the matching Gucci. Like
some people are just into that, and then I think there's also some people that just really do it for like that's
why like the influencer like I'm a successful influencer. Yeah. I'm wearing all Gucci. I'm wearing all this like.
That's one thing that I've never understood, and I can't really wrap my hand around it because I've just that's never been me. You know? Like I'm not really much of a designer person at all.
I mean, we both have some like designer things, but like not like a lot. But even if someone did have a lot, it's not anything against designer. It's more so like the validation through what you're wearing in social media.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't really care too much if you're watching on YouTube. I don't really care too much what I'm wearing.
You're limited edition.
Yeah, limited edition out here with the t-shirt. Shout out KB for shopping for me for once. That is awesome.
For once.
Right. So some positive things about influencer, like what are they called? Influencer events. You know, I think they can be beneficial and they can be really fun. And
you get free stuff.
It's a cool event to go to. You get free stuff. But we've been invited to a lot of those and we've passed on them just because we know how they go. We've been to them. We know the conversations that happen. And it's like
they're not always what you think they're gonna. They always sound like amazing. And then it's like you think you're going to make all these connections. You think you're going to go and talk to people, but people are busy or people are doing other things or like you came at a different time.
Or it's just like a content event.
Yeah. Or you're just trying to get content and like, not necessarily our vibe, but I will say the ones that are good are like if you go and get clothing, I'm like, okay, free clothes. I'm there.
And what's cool to me is like, we've done those couple retreats and like, I guess you could consider that like an influencer event, I guess, or get together, but like, it's more unique in my opinion because it's like you're hanging out with people and like after, even if like you're done filming a video or whatever, it's like now you're getting to really see people for who they are. Like you're hanging out with them at night when like all cameras are off, you're just vibing, you're just chilling, like you're talking, like conversation. It's like, it's definitely a little different. It feels like a little more genuine, even though like at the same time, like we're all filming content together and it's not like we're all like the best of friends.
No, but those were cool because like I feel like on a trip you really get to know someone, you really get to hang out with them.
You're seeing them in the morning, you're seeing them at night, like
you're living with them.
Out to eat, you're seeing how they interact with each other. Like it's definitely a little more unique. It's cool, but as much as like we say like this thing about influencer events, like I think it'd be cool to like put something on. You know, maybe not like an influencer event. but like a brand event, I think would be fun. Cause like,
how about with
who doesn't want to put on like a dope ass party? Like I was thinking with our fitness app,
that'd be so sick.
Dude, let's host like a massive workout and just like some big event after. Like I think that would be so fun. Like,
that's why, and I think brands do it because it is fun and they can be fun. It's just like I think it's fun when they know people. I think it's like if I went and all of our closest friends were going to an event, then I would be like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
But like if it was just me and you and like we didn't know anyone and like we felt like uncomfortable, I think it's all on like who you know too.
The weirdest one we went to, we didn't even talk about it.
What?
This one's kind of like sporadic. I feel like we didn't really have much to go off of. We just kind of sat down and started talking. But when we first started dating, we went to New York together. And remember that event we went to? What was that even? Weren't they performing or something?
No, it was some perfume. There was like barely any people there.
It was a company.
Whole
there was
bunch
like
of people.
Six people in the room.
Yeah.
And I didn't even do social media at the time. So for me, like, it's kind of cool because like I had the different view. Like you were the influencer. You had already lived in LA.
Yeah.
I was the outsider looking in. Like,
let's hear your experience. What were you thinking? Because I know what I was thinking.
I've never been to an influencer event in my life. I don't even know what that meant. Well, I don't know. We got there, like we went up the elevator, like they greeted us. It was cool.
They gave us like champagne or something right away.
Always drinks.
It was nice. They always have like a good setup and stuff, but it's just like the weird stuff. Like, go take a picture with this. Go do this. Go take a picture with this.
Go take a picture with our product.
Like, oh,
go do this.
And then like you'll talk to someone. They're like, well, I'm actually like the CEO of it, so like I do that, and like everyone's like gassing themselves.
Everybody's always somebody there.
Yeah,
some of it.
And they always know someone, and they're always like a very important person.
Oh, you guys do YouTube? Oh, I could hook you up with this person, this person, this person.
They're just like I feel like you almost have to experience that.
It's so weird because that is cool because I forgot I had that like outsider looking in experience.
I remember leaving though, and we were like, let's go get pizza. Like that sucked.
What were we there? Okay, so it was perfume though, but
it was a brand deal though.
Wasn't someone singing or something like?
Yeah.
Because we were sitting down.
Oh my gosh.
We were sitting down like watching like a little show, but it was like literally like 7 people in the room.
7
people. It was super weird.
And this girl was like singing to us, and I feel like
I think me and you were trying not to laugh.
No, because she was actually she was a great singer, but we were like
we felt uncomfortable.
We were like, what do we do? Like I don't know. Like and then we were like, how do we leave? And then we ended up leaving. We're like, let's go get pizza. We got like pizza and cookies, and we had so much more fun after the event.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we didn't know how to act. We're like, this is just weird. We don't know anyone here.
I know. I was thinking in my head, I was like, I do not belong here. This is not it.
No. But now being an influencer, like it was just a weird.
Yeah.
But like I understand how they could be weird.
Yeah. But like I do want to express like they're not all bad. Like
no.
And I think if we went to one, we would have a good ass time and meet people and probably meet some really dope people.
Like let's talk about a good influencer event. I don't know. It's got a little. I was gonna say the Revolve Fest for Coachella, but they had a whole scandal too. So I don't know.
That was fun.
But for us, we had an amazing time because we saw Post Malone, free drinks.
Performed. Are you kidding me?
That was literally such a cool experience. Like we got to go to like the most beautiful house in like the setup.
Free rides there.
There was flowers everywhere. They had free ride. Oh yeah, there was like a carnival, little carnival, free food. The food was it was actually like vegan,
like little food trucks.
It was really good.
That shit with vegan chicken was fire.
It was fire. And so we did that. That we had free 818 from Kendall Jenner's tequila, which was so good. And they were making us like all these drinks. But the best part was,
again, I want to just touch on it. Before you say a positive, like let me bring it back down.
Oh, no.
Remember, we're having such a good ass time. We're just vibing. And like we're somehow in the back of some girl's photo.
Yes.
And she fucking lost.
She's like, are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Can't you tell you're in the back of my photo? Like basically almost like a don't you know who I am? But it was like
she for sure like was not like
no one special or what. She was just another person. I'm like,
she was just like a different influencer who we're like.
And it wasn't like an obvious spot we weren't supposed to be. Like she was taking a picture at the pool and we were just in the background. So were other people. She
walked in and we were already there and we were like, she like flipped out and like was acting so like, I don't know, just like I need to get my like photo and like I'm
it's like it's like that kind of energy that like makes like the whole like influencer event like quotations.
Yeah, where you're like
that. It's like like.
But that was
who just acts like that.
The event that was put on was so good.
But yeah, we
got to see Post Malone like in a small crowd. We actually got to see the Migos, which unfortunately,
oh my gosh,
Takeoff just passed away, which is so sad.
Yeah,
it's literally so terrible.
It is terrible.
And it's like literally the other day we we love the Migos.
We love the Migos.
And we always love how they'll do like the it's like ad libs. They'll be like, yeah, let's go. Mama. And so like we always do that. So like we'll like talk and like do it to each other. We'll do it to their songs and we'll add our own. We're so random. But that is super sad. But we did get to see it. We've actually seen the Migos perform a good amount of times.
5 or 6 times, like a lot.
With Post Malone, with Drake, like so many different times.
Overall, yeah, that was an amazing event. And so like we're saying, they're not all bad.
No.
And but maybe one day we're going to even host one just because.
There is like certain influencers who are just like, why? Come on.
Hey, but that just goes to show. I feel like we talk about this in every podcast, but it's all about how you look at it. And like, it's all... although we were talking about like the things we don't like there's a lot of positives to come from
I'm sure like even
LA and everything, and I'm sure people have had amazing experiences. We've had great ass times in LA, and we've been to great ass influencer events. So, and
like it doesn't matter what job you do, there's always going to be those people who kind of, you're just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, I'm sure if you're a teacher and then there's like another teacher who's a total monster and like get that little sense of power and they just run with it. And then they make teachers look bad. And you're like, not all teachers are bad. They're just bad.
Yeah, it was just them. Okay?
It was just them. But yeah.
Anyways, that wraps up episode 6 or 7. I really honestly don't know. I think it's episode 7.
Episode 7, babe. Come on.
It's episode 7?
Yeah. If you guys want, comment down below what you guys want to talk about. I really want to talk about the wedding coming up. Not coming up.
The wedding coming up. Excuse me. You want to talk about the wedding day? We should definitely do that.
I think we could, like, we have so much to talk about.
Yep.
The drama, the tea, the things that went wrong.
Yeah. Comment down with, if you guys are watching on YouTube, some things you guys want us to talk about on the podcast. Yes. And we will.
Also, I just want to say also, thank you guys so much for all your prayers for Reagan. And I know it's making her really happy. So I just really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will see you guys in the next podcast.